देता हूँ, सारा ही बंद कर दे पहले। इसको बंद कर दे, बंद कर दो एक बार। इसमें मीटिंग चल ही रहा है। ये पीडीएफ भी बंद करना। नहीं, ये खुला रहेगा। और अभी फुल स्क्रीन शेयर कर देता हूँ। ठीक, फुल स्क्रीन शेयर किया। इसमें आता है। अब कहाँ है वो स्लाइड? बायो यहाँ पर है। यहाँ पे से हमने ये क्या? अच्छा, वापस फोल्डर बना हुआ है ना आपको। ये ना वीडियो डाउनलोड कर। ये है जो शेयर होगा। तो अभी जो कौन सी स्लाइड शेयर करके छोड़नी है? अभी तो मिनिमाइज कर दो इसको। अभी स्टार्टिंग में ये वाला लगे रहेगा। इससे स्टार्ट होगा ये शेयर। अच्छा, मैं चेक कर रहा हूँ। फर्स्ट स्लाइड कौन सी? फर्स्ट स्लाइड ये है। अगर हमारे खुद से शेयरिंग कर दिया, जो भी आएंगे ना तो एक बार आप, हम यही नहीं है लेकिन उस टाइम तो आप ही आओगे यहाँ पे। जो भी फिल हुआ है ये हो गया, बस ये शेयर हो गया। इसीलिए एक बार ये जब यहाँ पर हो जाएगा फिर यहाँ पर आएंगे, और इसके बाद फिर इनका फिर एक बार ये हो जाएगा इनॉग्रल की नोट, सब्जेक्ट की नोट स्टॉप। जब इनका इनॉग्रल की नोट आएगा तो उसी टाइम इनका प्रेजेंटेशन होगा, राइट? हाँ। फिर ये हटा के फिर इसमें लाना पड़ेगा अपने को। इसको थोड़ा नीचे करना, दिक्कत ना हो, पुश कर लेना बंद कर। हाँ, ताकि वो पुश दिखे ऊपर। ये यहाँ पर आएंगे, आप आ जाना। मैं क्या यहीं पे रहूंगा कि हर बार बोलने को अपन नीचे तो जाएंगे ही। जब तुम शिफ्ट करोगे एक दो बार नहीं जाऊंगी ना। अच्छा अच्छा, एक बार तुम बोल दोगी फिर मैं आके इसको एडजस्ट कर दूंगा यहाँ पे। अगर गो डाउन जब वो आएंगे ना लेक्चर, इनके वाले पे जाऊंगी लेक्चर। ये 30 मिनट का है। अब मैं हर बार नीचे जाऊँ। चलो इसको तुम ही कर सकती है, बस इसको ऐसे कर दोगी तो अगला आ जाएगा, फिर ऐसे कर दोगी तो ये सब करना है। सुनो, अब जैसे तुमने बोला क्या ये हो गया, तुम बोलोगे कि नाउ आई वांट टू इंट्रोड्यूस। ठीक है, ये ऑन रहेगा ना, ये यहाँ पे रहेगा, और जब तुम ये रहेगा ना फ्रेंड, शीशा को तुम बुलाना चाहो तो ठीक उस टाइम इसको कर देना। इसके बाद जब तुम अगला बुलाने चाहोगे ना, जब इनका हो जाएगा ये चले जाएगा, और जब तुम मैं इसको चेंज करूँ। हम्म। उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं भाई इसमें।
करके बीच में करना है। मेरा तो आराम से ये बात बीच में बोलूंगी कुछ नहीं लगता था जैसे मेरे साथ खुद से कुछ
एकदम उसको ना पूरा ऊपर कीजिए, वरना हम लोग जब इसको एस्केप करेंगे
नहीं रहेगा, उससे ज्यादा नहीं होगा। ठीक
नहीं नहीं, एक्चुअली हम लोग इसको एस्केप करेंगे ना, ऐसे मान लीजिए, और हम लोग को इससे बाहर निकलना है, अभी एस्केप ही नहीं हो रहा है। एक बार ये किए तो फिर अब अपने को क्या था, यहाँ पे इसको काटना है, फिर वो तो मान लीजिए इसको मिनिमाइज या काटना है।
वो तो इधर से हो जाएगा ना, से आप मिनिमाइज कर दो इसको। नहीं
इसे कुछ मत करना
उसको इस जगह पे रखो। अब वो दिखेगा नहीं ना मिनिमाइज करोगे तो, या फिर डायरेक्ट खोलना पड़ेगा आपको नीचे से।
आप ये मिनिमाइज कर,
हाँ इतना सही है।
यहाँ पे रखता हूँ इसको।
इसको बीच में कर लो। हाँ ये ऑटोमेटिक गायब हो जाएगा जैसे हमको खोलेंगे।
आपको जो करना है वो दो है ओपन अभी, एक वहां पे लगाना पड़ेगा। चलो एक बार नीचे से अभी ये सहस्त्र बुद्धे सर और दिग्विजय सर दोनों का पीपीटी नहीं आया, सिर्फ एक पैनलिस्ट का आया है। बट एनीवे ये वाला पहले हट रहा था। एक मिनट, उसके फुल स्क्रीन मोड पे जाइए, सबसे नीचे वाला। उन लोग शायद पेनड्राइव में लेकर आएंगे, जब ये हटा देंगे ना उसके हम लोग उसको यहाँ पे अभी हटा गया।
इसको एक बार नीचे नहीं हटे ना, तो एक बार इसको नीचे करना है, फिर ऊपर करना है।
ठीक है,
हो जाएगा।
एक बार देख लो, अगर ये यहाँ पे अटक गया ना, और अगर
एक बार नीचे
अगर नहीं हटा तो एक बार इसको नीचे करना, फिर ऊपर करना, हट जाएगा।
Good morning, everyone. It's truly wonderful to see all of you here at the National Institute of Plant Genome Research, a hub of cutting edge science and innovation. Before we begin the proceedings, may I kindly request our director, Dr. Chattopadhyay, workshop convener, Dr. Yadav, along with our chief guest, Professor Sahasrabudhe, and distinguished speaker, Dr. Mohanty, to please take their seats on the dais. Today, we are here for an exciting workshop, BioAI for Research, where we will explore the intersection of biology and artificial intelligence. This workshop is not just about learning new concepts, it's about actively engaging, experimenting, and building skills through a hands-on approach. In a world where the data is the new currency, the integration of AI into biological research holds transformative potential and opens limitless opportunities, from analyzing complex data sets to solving real-world challenges in agriculture, healthcare, and beyond. This workshop aims to empower you with practical knowledge and tools to make an impact in your fields. To begin this event, I would like to invite our esteemed guests to light the lamp, symbolizing the illumination of knowledge and the start of our journey together today. I request Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, our director, along with our distinguished speakers, to kindly come forward for the lamp lighting ceremony. To set the stage for this workshop, it's my honor to invite Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, Director of NIPGR, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, Professor Sahasrabudhe, Dr. Mohanty, Dr. Yadav, the distinguished, the instructors and mentors, the participants and guests. So on behalf of NIPGR family, I extend my warm welcome to all of you at our institute. Those who do not know our institute, we are an autonomous institute funded by the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. Very recently, the 14 institutes under DBT was combined to make one council, Biotechnology Research and Innovation Council, BRIC. So we come under BRIC now. We are now BRIC NIPGR. So we hopefully will jointly do some research and come up to solve the bigger problem of the nation. So that was the purpose. At the outset, I must confess that I do not know anything about computer science. So I use it for typing and email and PowerPoint presentation, that's all. So, but what I know, the basic purpose of a technology is to empower people, just the masses. And it started with, probably started long back, but what I read in history, it started with the invention of the printing press in 15th century. So people thought the calligraphers who used to copy the books and the knowledge was restricted within the elites, so those calligraphers will lose jobs. But what happened very soon, these calligraphers, they found their job in the printing industry, and the knowledge disseminated to common people, and the knowledge spread. The resultant of which we have seen after 200 years after, in the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution in Europe. It started with the steam engine. People thought that people will lose job. There will be the manual laborers will lose job. But very soon we found that their factories are mushroomed, coming up like mushrooms in Europe. And a lot of people got job there. And the educational institution were established to train those laborers to feed those factories. And the people got the purchase, have the purchase power. And obviously, whenever you have the purchase power and knowledge, then you have opinions. So they wanted to propagate their opinions. And the resultant of which the monarchy failed and the democracy became the popular polity in Europe. Now, India awakened a little bit later because we were under foreign rules. In 18th century, when the India's contribution to the world GDP was 10% with 13% of the global population, In 1947, we were only contributing 4% of the global GDP with the 14% of the population contribution. So in the independent India, India started very slow by setting up the government-funded heavy industries, academic institution, higher academic institution like IIT, IIMs, and created a sizable amount of educated middle class. The main push came when India adopted computer in 80s. People thought that a lot of people will lose jobs. But again, we found that a lot of people got job because of the computer industry, and India became a hub of the BPOs. And it quickly followed by the telecommunication. With the telecommunication plus computer, then came mobile phone. Mobile phone is now everybody's hand, and it became now became the smartphone. The smartphone is now a big industry in India, and it is the method of propagating knowledge and information to the masses, the common people. And when the knowledge goes to common people, they start spreading their opinions. And once upon a time, when the politics of the country was controlled by some elites, and then the educated middle class, and now politics is being controlled by the common people. Now real democracy is here. So technology has a power to change the politics of a country or the nation. And all over the world now we are seeing the lot of propagation, the regionalism. They are Europe and America trying to stop the immigration. In India, we are talking about the regionalism. So there is a global change just due to the technology. Now, the AI, I don't think it is a very new term, because whenever you order something in Amazon, then Amazon give you some options, right? Depending on your previous purchases. So I do not know, probably that is a part of the AI. So there is a machine learning, there is a training set, and then they give you some propositions. And slowly they try to modulate your opinion. Now, there are some hindsight of the technology. For example, the first mover advantage. Those people who invent it first, they take the first mover advantage for 5 or 10 years, and they exploit the other countries. For example, in computer also, Charles Babbage, Alan Turing. So because of them, the computer science was discovered, and then obviously America took the advantage of this computer science. Another thing is, if you go to the history, the first mover advantage, for example, the Mongols learned the use of the gunpowder from the Chinese, and they invented cannons, and they invaded the Asia. And later on, this cannon was miniaturized by the Europe, and then they made the rifle, and they invaded the whole world. So there are some hindsight of the first mover advantage of the technology. Now, I think the AI is coming very quickly to India. There is not much first mover advantage of the other countries. Another thing is, India is very rich in the intellectual property. And we are the feeders of this all IP or high-tech industries of America. And when we are hearing about that there will be a stoppage of the immigration, or I think less immigration will be there in the new administration of the US, so we can take advantage of this. Our Prime Minister says, the apada ka avsar mein badalna. So we can retain our best brains in our country and really can do well in the AI, and we can take the first mover advantage. So if you have to take the first mover advantage, then you cannot only just use the tools, you have to create the tools. So to do that, so these are the workshops are being conducted. So our institute has been regularly conducting the workshops, especially our Bioinformatics Center. We have recently established the National Plant Computational Biology and the Bioinformatics platforms. So we'll be open to the public very soon, because now we have devised our cyber security policy. So there will be cloud computing there, and Nipgr will be the hub of storing all of your data, but only in the plant science, mostly in the plant science. So we are dedicated to propagate whatever we learn. We are a small institute. We are currently having 28 or 30 faculties. We are trying our best so that we can disseminate whatever we learn to the students, to the participants, so that they can be the game changer and they create the tool rather than the using the tool. So I look forward towards the success of this workshop, and I thank all the mentors and the instructors that they have come here and kindly accepted our invitation. And I request the participants to get as much as possible from them so that you can be the entrepreneurs, not just by PhD and then teaching professions, because you have to create the jobs, not consume the jobs. So with that words, I wish all the success of this workshop and your help in this regard. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your warm welcome. Next, I'm excited to invite Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, Senior Scientist at Nipgr, to deliver the introduction. Ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here and stand before you today to tell you about this idea of performing a capacity building or upskilling event function on bio AI for research. Very recently, as our director just told you, we are part of the Department of Biotechnology of the Ministry of Science and Technology with the Government of India. Very recently, the Department of Biotechnology announced the launch of the biofoundry and biomanufacturing initiatives, under which there was a new policy that was announced. Some of you may have heard about this policy, the Bio E3 policy. This is the Bio E3, meaning biotechnology for economy, environment, and employment, for fostering high-performance biomanufacturing in India. All of you have heard how in the 1980s, the IITs completely transformed education and informatics and engineering in the country. With the Bio E3, we are hoping that biotechnology will be transformed in the next 10, 15 years. The world's top biotech skills will be within this country. And for that, many verticals, many pillars are required to make that happen. One of those is bio AI. And here in this workshop, we are trying to make an effort because I'm a data scientist. We have a small cluster of data scientists within the NCR region. We often think about doing workshops. Well, we have done workshops for 2 decades, at least since I joined NIPGR 19 years ago. We've been doing a lot of workshops. But what we feel we should do now is try and bridge the gap between understanding for a lot of students. You hear about AI, you hear about bio AI, you hear about how it is transforming your day-to-day life. You use it on the phone, but you don't know what is in that black box. And for that, when I was speaking to the director of NII, you will hear him yourself today, Dr. Debashish Mohanty is right here. He and I were chatting about what we can do for students. And we thought that as researchers, as cutting edge researchers, it is probably part of our duty to maybe sit with students, open a paper, see how AI has been used, make you reproduce that paper step by step, so that by the end of it, you know what happened. It's not textual, bookish, textbook knowledge. This is application-oriented, practical knowledge. And you would know in the process how that paper was published or what issues were there, which you could modify, how you could apply the same things to your data. So then we thought that is the kind of hands-on, AI workshop we want to do. And then I spoke with our own director, Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay. You heard him just now. So I went to him saying, we have some ideas, we want to begin something, but as an experiment, we want to try it for a shot, 3 days just now. And he says, instead of asking me, kya karna chahte ho, kyun karna chahte ho, he said, what do you need? And I was like, what do I need? I need A, B, C. And then he said, all right, take A, B, C and take D, E, F and get it done. So here we stand before you today. The workshop has become a reality. And what we will do today is, in this inaugural function, we have some brilliant speakers to tell you about how AI might be able to transform education in India. AI would transform cutting-edge research, is already transforming cutting-edge research in India. And finally, a panel to talk to you about how AI can transform society, you, me, the entire social fabric. So the plan over here is this session is to give you an initial insight into what it is that we do. But the rest of today, those of you who are staying back for the rest of today after the afternoon will get an idea into responsible AI as well. Tomorrow, we are going to sit with you to tell you about the difference between machine learning and deep learning. And we will pick up a paper on genomics and show you how deep learning is done on genomic data, and you will have to do it yourself with us. So it's a DIY kind of workshop. Day after tomorrow, we do the same thing for AI over computer vision. In between, we have sessions where you will be doing AI over NLP, AI for research, and we have a brilliant team of people who's going to hold your hands and handhold you through this process. It is not a workshop to make you an expert. It is a workshop to get you an understanding of what it is which this black box can do for us, and more importantly, what it cannot do for us as well. Okay, so with that, I think, yes, I would also like to mention that this workshop is definitely in pursuance of the National Education Policy that India released. I hope all of you are aware of the National Education Policy 2020. Those of you who are undergrads, postgrads, and grad students would definitely know about it, because your life has been, to put it in a nice way, modulated by this to some extent. We also have the Science and Technology Innovation Policy 2020, which was released by the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor. And finally, the Bio E3 policy, which I told you about ourselves, in which eventually we want to add to employment. And that will only happen when we upskill you, when you upskill yourself, with help from others, with help from us, with mostly about helping yourself. The main goals of this workshop are, first of all, to give you all a beginner's AI 101. And AI 101 means, all right, what are the different kinds? What is it? Where do I do it? Where do I get access to it? How is it different from ChatGPT? Can I do more? And so on. We'll teach you Python, R, some Hugging Face, Jupyter, Colab notebooks, and so on. The second bit is to learn and build human-machine knowledge systems. Thirdly, of course, apart from testing and training hands-on data sets and building transformer models, you will most importantly feed back this knowledge and technology back to us to tell us how this experiment has been, how these 3 days could lead to future workshops, future events with you on our own, and how we could together, improve the whole idea of India and Indian youth becoming knowledge champions through AI. To end my talk, I should have done this to start my talk, but I'm going to end my talk with a shlok from the Bhagavad Gita, which I found in verse 8.3. It says, Bhuta bhavodbhavakara visarga karma sangita. The idea, it is a shlok on evolution, and I searched a long time to find this one. The basic idea is that there are two activities which go into evolution and making creation, sarga and visarga. The sarga elements are the Pancha Mahabhuta elements. The Pancha Mahabhut, many of you may know about those who have read some scriptures, the solid matter, water, fire, air, and space. But also within sarga, there are three psychological elements: mind, the intellect, and the eye sense. Many of us don't know much about these. These are more like a black box. Think about AI, a black box that even its own creators did not understand, right? The Nobel laureates, the winners this year, they didn't know what is in that black box. So the idea is that these sarga, these elements, this next part, visarga, uses all of these 8 elements to integrate them in order to make the rest of creation, to make evolution truly happen. And that happens in 3 steps. The first is, as I said in my shlok, bhutakara karma, in which all of these 8 elements are put together to create the world and the beings and the entities, basically the entities that we see around us. The second is the bhavakara karma, in which you give consciousness to these entities. We are afraid of giving consciousness to AI, but there is such a thing as general AI. Lastly, Udbhavakara karma, the most important one, where you are evolving, where evolution is taking place, and we are trying to interpret creation altogether. And with that little connection between, transcendence and cosmic understanding and current day technology, high technology of AI, I do hope that we are going to have a very good experience on this little experiment that we have begun together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for those thought-provoking insights. May I now request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly step down and be seated in the first row. Yeah, okay.
Do you have slides? I don't have slides.
It's now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, the current chairman of the Executive Committee, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bangalore, and a visionary leader in the field of technical education reforms. Professor Sahasrabudhe has played a pivotal role in reshaping India's technical education landscape, having initiated groundbreaking programs such as Swayam, India's own MOOC platform. He is a recipient of Praj Entrepreneur Award, Jeevan Gaurav Puraskar
Not having any slides.
of MIT World Peace University, Pune, Mahatma Gandhi Leadership Award, and John Mathai National Fellowship Award. He is currently chairman of National Education Technology Forum and National Board of Accreditation. Today, he will share his insights on transforming education with AI, focusing on how AI solutions can enhance learning outcomes. Please join me in welcoming Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe.
Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, Director of National Institute of Plant Genome Research, where we are sitting here today. Then Dr. Debashish Mohanty, who is also a director in another institute, National Institute of Immunology, neighboring institute. And Dr. Geetanjali Yadav, who beautifully explained to us the purpose of this workshop and eloquently connected 5 elements with the ancient Bhagavad Gita shloka and how knowledge creation, knowledge generation, knowledge transmission, knowledge application is so important in our daily lives. And how this Bio AI workshop for 3 days is going to cover linking, connecting all of these in a format that you will start learning about not only AI, but various tools which are used in AI. And then along with that, how do you continue your research, your journey in order to make the life on this planet a beautiful one. That is what is very important. Let me start with this particular institute and what they have been doing. I just looked at the website and found a phenomenal work that is going on, although located in a remote, small place, although very small faculty and number of students. The type of research that is going on in bio area, that means biotechnology, evolution, connecting the animal world with the human world, plants and their research, how you will produce effectively more production of crops, including hygienic growth. All of that is covered under one umbrella. A lot of researchers are working. My compliments to the institute for doing research which is going to be contributing to the human good. With that background, I was given to talk about first bio-AI itself, but I was reluctant because my biology was only up to 12th standard. After that, I went into engineering and very little did I know about biology, except both my wife and my daughter are microbiology postgraduates and was doing research. So sometimes I used to listen to those words. But first time I got interaction with specialized field of biology was when I went to Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore for my PhD and master's. And my many friends were from a department called Molecular Biophysics Unit. And first time I was wondering, what is this? I knew about physics, I knew about biology, but this is molecular biophysics. What is this all about? And so I developed friendship, whether Professor Salunke, who was the previous director of National Institute of Immunology, or even Professor Balram, whom we used to meet in the computer center, Professor Murthy, about whom just now we were speaking, and most importantly, I learned about G.N. Ramchandran, who was a great scholar in the field of what is known as triple helix. And it is so wonderful that a person can publish papers in most important international journals from his home address, not from an affiliation from an institute. I think that is the thing which I learned in the biology sector from my friends. But nevertheless, my topic was changed to talk about what is the scope of AI in education and what is transforming an education field. There are three things which were also mentioned by Gitanjali. One of them is National Education Policy, which came in 2020. There is a recently policy of science and technology, and also Bio E3 policy. Now, all of these are connected with education in some way. Secondly, the whole world is today talking about Sustainable Development Goals, 17 SDGs. And for getting all those to be understood, to follow them, to create a net zero carbon world, to make a planet a safe place to live in, I think education is most important. Without education, nothing can happen. So education is all about learning, different types of learning. When we say learning, many a times we learn for our degrees, and at the end of degrees, we think that we have learned everything and start employed somewhere, do some activity for our livelihood. But today, learning is not going to stop at the end of your college education. It will continue. And we talk today of unlearning, relearning, and lifelong learning. I think these are three very important mantras which we should all remember. And Dr. Debasish Chattopadhyay, in his opening address, very eloquently mentioned about the history of technology itself, right from 16th, 17th century to 21st century and what all has been changing. And many times we are skeptical that the new technology is going to eat away our jobs. This was very profoundly said when first time computerization started in our country. People thought that all the bank jobs, all the life insurance jobs, all the jobs will vanish. But nothing happened. In fact, more and more people, he started from printing press rather. So right from that era, technology has been rampantly changing, and the rate of change of technology has been ever faster than ever before. You know, maybe in our lifetime, 3 to 4 technologies were changing. Today might be, we don't know how many. Every 4 or 5 years, a completely new technology comes in. And that's why this lifelong learning principle has come in. Whatever we study in our graduation studies, by the time we graduate, most of that will become outdated. And therefore, you have to keep learning. And how do we promote that kind of learning is what National Education Policy, NEP 2020, talks about. It also talks about multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary education, research, thereby connecting the dots between the fields of whether it is social sciences or science or engineering or medical science or management have to come together, and therefore all the variety of classes that you can take in while you are graduating are also going to become very, very important. Next, and not but the least, the world of today is all driven by AI. That is what this whole conference is all about. We talk about bio AI here, but nevertheless, AI is there, which has pervaded all walks of life. Some of the things which Dr. Debasish Chattopadhyay said about the way we think, the way we are going to order from Amazon is all dictated by our choices, are governed by some of the activities of our past activities. You know, based on that, future activities are driven. And that's why AI appears to be on one side a very dangerous thing. And on the other side, we see lots of benefits which can be accrued from out of using artificial intelligence. Some of the things which we never imagined are today possible thanks to AI. So on one side, we must adopt new way of learning through AI, but at the same time, remember that there are dangers, there are challenges, and therefore from the perspective of data security, personal security, on one side to how ethically we use that AI is also going to become very significant and important in tomorrow's world. And therefore, this workshop of 3 days is going to drive you through different tools, be it some of the software, some of the data sets given to you, using all of them. How do you develop what we call natural language processing models or LLMs, and using all of them, how future can be developed in a manner that we are going to go in the right direction, in an ethical direction, in a value-based direction. When I say values, this national education policy is also rooted in national values, which are civilizational values. Probably two very important values of our nation, which are important for not our country, but the entire globe, for becoming peaceful, joyful, happy, are Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. This is one statement which is there in our scriptures, that we don't want ourselves only to be happy, we want the whole world to be happy. And when we talk about the world is not just the humanity, that is Homo sapiens, but also all animal species, be it cow or ant or rat or whatever it is, or all variety of plant species. This is a plant research institute, and therefore, first time when Bose said that plant have feelings, people had laughed at him. How can plants have the feelings? And today, Japanese scientists have proved that if you speak into the ears of the plant, a sapling, that you are good, you are good, you are growing well, it will grow well. And another one where you keep on bemoaning it, it will shrink and then it will not grow at all. This is a practical thing which has happened today. And some of them will get Nobel Prizes based on our Indian traditional knowledge systems. But we are not ready to own our own value system, our own knowledge, which existed from maybe thousands of years, which we must be all aware of in our books of history. And that's why, whether it is Upanishads, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, or Ramayana, they are not mere stories. They are historical texts where a lot of knowledge is embedded. And how do we make use of it? Again, using AI is very, very important. Of course, all this knowledge of physics, chemistry, maths went from Bharat, India, to the rest of the world through Arab world, to Europe, and then to US and Canada. It is again returning back to us in a different format. Certainly, there are new equipment and instruments which have been developed, which will aid in our research, and therefore understanding of the same phenomena which were given in the form of some kind of abstract things in the shlokas are now getting revalidated through the scientific instruments. But while doing all of this, the second tenet of other than Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu is the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That means the whole world is one family. Today, United Nations talks about the entire world as globalized world, one family. And therefore, these ethos on one side to be embedded into AI are going to become very, very important. I'm dealing with this with a perspective that ultimately, what is AI? AI has this word intelligence. So there is a native natural intelligence that all human beings possess. And the machine has this A, that is artificial intelligence. And naturally, there is a difference between the two types of intelligence. So what is artificial and what is natural? Natural is the manner in which we think about three things, which again, what Gitanjali said are very, very important. We have body, we have to keep well in terms of exercise, yoga, meditation. Through that, manas, that is beyond the sharira, we have the mana, which is very important. Brain is there, but we also believe in Atman. And the ultimate reality or the goal is reached through these formats, actually. Body, mind, brain, and then Atman. And therefore, many of these things have to be realized in the perspective of the background of what is fed to the machine. And therefore, the intelligence that the machine has is based on all the previous experiences put together, and then through the network of computers, through the cloud, it will search through the information. And in the manner in which the algorithms are developed, it will indicate to you certain aspects of that intelligence, which may be the true thing, or sometimes it could be biased. And therefore, when we talk about ethical AI, how unbiased information or data sets are to be fed for learning of the machine is very, very significant and important. if you give a wrong data, it will give wrong results. And therefore, many of the answers which you get out of ChatGPT or OpenAI sometimes puzzle you, because we in our own Indian knowledge systems are aware of many things which that OpenAI is not aware of, because the data sets which are provided are based on the knowledge that the Western world has, and therefore many a times there is a dichotomy which is visible, and therefore we in our country may have to create our own databases, our own feeding of the data for learning of the machines, and if you do that, probably the kind of results that we get would be quite different from what we are getting today from OpenAI and ChatGPT. But whether should we use this or not is another question which is being often discussed and debated amongst the academic community, research community. This AI is going to be taking away our jobs is another factor which many people are discussing. But AI is, after all, a tool. The manner in which we use is to be made our own thinking, our own capability has to be put into it. And we should know the limitations of AI as well. And so when we are talking about AI, and the teachers keep asking whether our jobs are at risk, I keep telling them that the teacher or a guru has their role already established, is not just providing what is known as information. It was already coming through Google also a decade ago. And today through ChatGPT and OpenAI, you get a lot of not only information, maybe some knowledge also will come. But how do you use that knowledge for the betterment of humanity only can come from the teachers or gurus. And that is where discerning between what is right and what is wrong has to come from experiential learning, may come from thinking, which is critical thinking, analytical ability, also value of empathy. The machine will not be empathetic. Love, affection, empathy, these factors are not possible to be given to a machine. It will only, based on the previous data, give you some answer, solution, maybe sometimes multiple solutions. And from out of that, what is the right optimized solution is to be decided by the Homo sapiens themselves. And ultimately, they are the most intelligent species. Although I remember first time when they Blue Deep, supercomputer which was developed and it defeated Gary Kasparov in 1997, people said that now humanity has lost its touch on intelligence, machines are going to take over. That was 1997. Today we are in 2024. Even after about more than 26, 27 years, this challenge is continuing to be existing. So all the students, researchers, faculty members need not be worried that the AI is going to take away our jobs. But how effectively can we use that is very important. And that's why a new branch of, it's called engineering, it's not necessarily engineering, it may be even a course of humanities, called as prompt engineering has emerged. That what kind of prompts and a cascading prompts or a looped prompts you give to the machine, thereby you try to extract more and more information. And out of that information, how do you convert it into useful knowledge and then make use of that knowledge for betterment, as I said, in terms of research. And this institute is already carrying forward research in a variety of areas, not only in plant research, but many other areas which are significant for the growth of the nation. So our objective today in terms of education is our Prime Minister's vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047. I think let us be remembering that in the 75 years from just about 4% GDP of the world, which otherwise at one CE was at the level of 33%, we have been slowly growing. We are already fifth largest economy of the world in the last 10 years from the 11th position. And in the next 1 or 2 years, certainly we will cross fourth and third position as well. But by 2047, there are fair chances that we would be at the level of almost second or first in terms of GDP of the whole world. Maybe 20-25% of the GDP of the whole world may come from Bharat. But we have a great responsibility, and that responsible AI is what we have to teach our students in our educational institutions, right from school, high school, college, and university, and also research. And that's where ethical AI comes into picture. These ethical AI in terms of United Nations as well in 2021 has come out with a policy, but policy may be there, even like national education policy is there. It should not be kept only in the almirahs of the offices and libraries, but it should be practically applied. And that is where in the national education policy, a lot of emphasis is also there on experiential learning in terms of internships, in terms of apprenticeship, so that you get practical exposure to real life problems, real life challenges, and you try to address them. In the setup where you are all from a biological background, and therefore, whether it is research in cancer, whether it is can we create new molecules, drug discovery. I remember during COVID time, AICT conducted a hackathon for drug discovery. We wanted that all the tools that are available in terms of drug development and research, they were to be given training to our students, those who are researching. And then finally, out of that, maybe we will find solutions to not only COVID, but maybe in the future, if there are any other dangers which come in, they will be able to do. So I think that is where the use of AI will come. So AI is required to know the past and the present and give some directions to the future, but the real future is shaped by none other than Homo sapiens. Please remember this world that human beings are the only ones who can shape the future of the world. And that's why make use of all the variety of tools that are available at our disposal. There are other tools also. I would just like to reflect on a few other things for learning, effective learning. One is augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse. We also have AVGC, animation, visualization, graphics, and comics. I'm mentioning specifically comics because I have recently come across some of the kids in the school and high school, maybe just 10 years, 12-year-old. They have been doing phenomenal research and started companies employing several postgraduates and PhDs in their companies. How was it possible? I asked them the question. They said, we always watched comics during our childhood, and our parents always used to tell us, study, study, etc. But nevertheless, we were always concentrating on watching those videos, comics, and we learned a lot of new ideas, innovation through them. And it's very exciting, therefore, how right from school days in the pre-nursery at the age of 3, 4, 5, to even in the college and universities, many facets of life, which in the form of theory we learn in our schools and colleges, are never understood because the concept is very abstract. We cannot picturize that. Some may do it, some may not. And therefore, there are different ways of learning. So some of the ways of learning can be through the use of AI and through the use of these new technologies like AR, VR, XR. You deep dive into it, you swim into it. You know, for example, the functioning of the heart. I saw the software which can really make you flow along with the bloodstream. You will become blood, white and red corpuscles yourselves and then rush through veins and arteries. That kind of thing, when you see, you will get the real idea of it. There are few things which are not visible at all. For example, in physics, we all study electricity, we study magnetism. Have you ever seen magnetism? You see the effect of magnetism. You see electricity, the flow of electrons are there, but you can't see those electrons. And therefore, if we are able to create comics, some characters which will act like the gravitational field or magnetic field or the various phenomena of the physics or chemistry or the molecules. We are talking about protein molecules, which are very important for our life. So all of them, if they are created in the form of caricature and then develop them in a manner that you will be able to understand that more effectively, that is what AI is likely to do in the future. And that's why never rush away from the technology, but swim into the technology, use that. That is the message that I would like to give from this portal. Then few initiatives of the government also I want to mention, although it is not directly related, but indirectly related. We are not only talking about knowledge, but also application of knowledge, skills. They are also very important. And skills can be imparted more effectively through such articulation, simulation, animation will help us in developing the skill sets that are required, be in biological sciences, computer science, or engineering, or in any other field, including psychology, philosophy, economics, I think animation is very easily done in a manner that you can understand the concept. Simulations are made in order to really make use of those tools, in order to understand them deeper. And having done all of that, ultimate result is we must be able to use that knowledge for application. And then there are a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs who are going to speak in the panel a little while later. They will share their experiences about how they have used the technology in order to make the products which are useful to the society. I think that is the sum and substance of what I wanted to say from this podium. And one initiative which I wanted to initiate was that of creation of a unique ID for all the students. It is called APAR. I don't know how many of you are aware. If not, you must register for the APAR ID. APAR stands for Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry. It's a registry. Security of your data is ensured. And then it is connected with Academic Bank of Credits called as ABC. You talked about ABC and DEF in the beginning. So this is Academic Bank of Credits, ABC. Our learning from the school education to higher education to skilling, upskilling, and also lifelong learning can be deposited into this account. This is a learner's account. So it is for every individual who can become a member of this APAR ID can have an ABC account. And I often jocularly say that we have State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, where we deposit money. So it is a Lakshmi account. And Academic Bank of Credits is a bank where learning is deposited, and therefore it is a Saraswati account. So that's how we have got this facility. So whatever you do it in terms of sports, cultural activities, humanities, social sciences, software learning, maybe it is your subject or not. Whatever you learn can be deposited, and it can become a true transparent way of depositing all your learnings, which is an authentic source of information about your personality, which can be used for higher education application. It can be used for employment. It can be also used for creating your startups by getting loan from the bank. I think it has innumerable possibilities, and that's why the name also is APAR. अपार यानी हिंदी में बहुत सारे हो सकता है, भारतीय सारी भाषाओं में हो सकता है. तो हमने एक एआई का ट्रांसलेशन टूल भी डेवलप किया है कॉल्ड अनुवादिनी. उसका नाम ही अनुवाद करने का अनुवादिनी. एंड अनुवादिनी इज एबल टू ट्रांसलेट एनी टेक्स्ट, एनी बुक in any format, right from InDesign, PDF or Word or all variety of software that is available for printing into any other language with the same formatting, with the same color, the graphs, the pictures, the charts, everything will be also located at the same place in a different language, maybe in Tamil, in maybe Malayalam, in Kannada, in Marathi. So I think this is wonderful. So empowerment, what we talk about access, equity is possible by providing this education to the remotest places through digital means. And that is the purpose of education. National Education Policy is talking about it. If we do implement all of that in right spirit, 2047, we will be the most advanced nation in the world. But with the two tenets which I said, repeated again, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu, that will make the world a peaceful place to live in. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. May I now request the director and the workshop convener to kindly felicitate Professor Sahasrabudhe with a token of our respect and appreciation. It is with great excitement that I now introduce our next speaker, Dr. Debashish Mohanty, the current director of the National Institute of Immunology. Dr. Mohanty is a renowned leader in the field of biomedical sciences with extensive contributions to research in immunology and biotechnology. He is also an elected fellow of the National Academy of Science, Indian Academy of Science, and Indian National Science Academy. Dr. Mohanty has received prestigious honors such as the National Bioscience Award, the Rajiv Goyal Young Scientist Prize in Life Science, and the Samantha Chandrasekhar Award. He is currently a member of the Application Development of National Supercomputing Mission, Executive Committee of Indian Biological Data Center, and Chair of Technical Expert Committee of DBT on Theoretical and Computational Biology. Dr. Debashish Mohanty.
This. Okay. Let me thank Gitanjali and Dr. Chattopadhyay for organizing this workshop, which is very timely and giving me opportunity to come and speak here. And we had a very good beginning that Dr. Chattopadhyay told how we have to embrace technology to progress. And Professor Sahasrabudhe gave what are the power in the teaching and especially how we should have these characters which would teach us. I have one slide, we didn't coordinate with that each other, but I think AI is moving in that direction, that how virtual characters can teach us this thing. So what I am going to tell is leveraging AI/ML for transferring biotechnology. And so I would request Gitanjali to alert me 5 minutes before my time is up so that I can stop in time. So this is probably many of you know that this year has been the year of AI. There are 2 Nobel Prizes which has gone for AI. And one is for physics, for the basics of AI, neural networks and things like that. And other one is for biology in chemistry for developing AI/ML guided methods for protein structure prediction as well as protein design. And David Baker has got it for protein design. He shares 50% of the Nobel Prize, and John Jumper and Demis Hassabis share the other 50%. So these were, David Baker has been in this field of protein design for many years, or structure prediction. But these are the new entrants. John Jumper probably worked as a postdoc earlier, but these are the new entrants. And what has happened is, in a very short span of time, within 2 years, their work is recognized for Nobel Prize, which has not happened so fast. There are few examples, but not that many examples where this has happened. And this slide here shows you that protein structure prediction, which was a challenging job, up to 2016, where we had reached, if you put in a scale of 100, we had reached at best up to 60. And with AlphaFold 2 coming, we reached almost 90. The protein structures became almost comparable to the experimental structure. But if you think of it, of course, there are many more challenges which has happened, like ChatGPT has done wonders, this one. But if you think of the way ChatGPT is used, trained using a lot of text and all these, but to train a model to protein structure prediction, it is little different. So this has relied on many years of research in biophysics, and that is where. So I would just try to give you an example. If you want to do any AI on any type of data, it could be an image, it could be character recognition or something, you have to digitize the data to put it as some sort of a feature vector. Like what is shown is, it is written 0 or 6. If I digitize it by seeing in which box I have something, which box I don't have, this string of 1 and 0 will represent that character. And once you do that, so computer will be trained using this data, and it will be able to do character recognition if you train with a lot of handwriting or things like that. So here, and same way, you can treat protein sequence, you can do things and all, but to train using this one, like a protein structure to be represented, or the sequence structure relationship to be represented in form of a feature vector, is more complex, and this has required many more years of research which happened before. And this is what Professor Sahasrabudhe was referring to, the work of G.N. Ramachandran, which was done in the 60s. And this slide has something else to learn for you also. It is a computational, like a theoretical research versus data-driven research. Like in physics, G.N. Ramachandran was this one. Can somebody help me in getting a pointer here? That is this one. So I think there is a way to get in this one. Okay, doesn't matter. So like that G.N. Ramachandran, what he did is he used the laws of physics to calculate which are the interactions permitted, and he got the Ramachandran plot. At those days, there were few protein structures available, and what the slide below shows is all the protein structures. If you plot those phi-psi plot, what Ramachandran made today, this will be the pattern. So what it is telling is, whatever you are getting from theory, if you have the data, you will reach the same conclusion. There are many complex phenomena. We don't know the theory behind it, but if you have enough data, you will reach the same pattern. That is the relation between upslide and the downslide. And that is why AI is nothing new, and biology has always relied on data. Like if you think of, unlike physics, which would always think of an equation, how to describe a process in the form of an equation, biology, we always looked at pattern. So this AI is something very natural to biological sciences, because, and if you, many of you who are interested in protein structure, after the protein structure came, I think Jen Richardson wrote a review article. It was titled Anatomy and Taxonomy of Protein Structures. So what in biology, what you do is you collect data to describe the taxonomy of different plants or different animals. You do the anatomy of this thing. So when people solved protein structures, you tried looking at the data in the same way. And that is where, like what people see, whatever this set of equations, which is the language for the physical science. If mathematics is the language for physical science, AI/ML is the language for biological science. And that is what is happening now. So all of you, like as Dr. Chattopadhyay said, we should not be scared of going to new technology. We should use this technology more effectively. We can do wonders. And some of this work in this direction was also done by, these are the three people, Martin Karplus, Michael Levitt, and Arieh Warshel. They also had got a Nobel Prize for their work on molecular dynamic simulation in 2013. So the AlphaFold work actually builds from these two works. And many people feel G.N. Ramachandran's his contribution has been phenomenal. G.N. Ramachandran was alive almost for 40 years after his discovery of the phi-psi plot. Unfortunately, his contribution was not recognized when AlphaFold could be recognized within 1 to 2 years. And there are a few other things which has happened. Behind the success of AlphaFold, it is not only the work of Demis Hassabis. They relied on work of many. Yeah, it won't show up in this. Okay, don't bother. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Thank you. So they relied on, which also has an Indian link. Like this is a paper which was published by Google. Attention is all you need. It is Ashish Vaswani, who was one of the IIT products who is working for Google. This is a paper, they published something, a type of neural network which are called transformer. And that is which has used completely transformed, like not only ChatGPT type of AI technology, even the AlphaFold uses behind it something called evoformer. It is a transformer which is using evolutionary data, and that is why it was. And the way it is used is, when you do protein structure prediction, you want to know which two amino acids will come contact in 3D structures in space. So now the ones which will come in contact has to change in a correlated way. If in one organism it was R and D which were interacting with each other, in another if R changes to L, then D cannot stay here. D has to change to proline. So both will become hydrophobic. So that is the way amino acids are evolving. By using this attention technology, which is something like a short-term memory which your neural network builds, they could capture this very effectively, and that is what gave the power of AlphaFold what it is. And there is a similar technology which was called BOT, which is a bidirectional encoder representation of transformers. This was again done in Google, and these are the ones which actually powered this thing. And there is something else which has happened. There has been a lot of, especially for the ChatGPT type of machine learning, what has happened is natural language processing has been used extensively. This is taken from MIT Technological Review. It says, king minus man plus woman is queen, the marvelous mathematics of computational linguistics. So if you want to do machine learning with text, if you represent king as just alphabets, queen as just one of the 26 alphabets, you will not reach this equation. But if you think of in the language, in the context we use the word king, the context we use the word queen, or the man or the woman, you can automatically realize in that context, this equation holds good. So now if you want computers to understand natural language, generate new text, or understand what we ask the computers to do, what ChatGPT is doing, you have to develop encoding or the feature vectors, which will be, this equation will hold good. So what it is doing is, the ChatGPT, that you need a lot of text you give to the machine learning model, and machine learning model will try to generate, these are unlabeled data. Even using unlabeled data, it will work like a gap filling. You give half a sentence and guess the next word. So from what is the most probable next word, it will try to gather. So this way, for each and every type of word we have in the text, it can develop this equation, like Paris minus France plus Poland is versa. So this is what the computers have learned, and that is why ChatGPT has been so powerful. And this can also be built into our scientific data, and this is what even the Google, like AlphaFold, has used. And there is one more paper. So this is what, like your protein sequence or the DNA sequence is actually a language in the same way. In the language, it is encoded, and that's why this sequence folds into a particular 3D structure. It has a particular function. So now the way ChatGPT was trained using all the data from the text data, you use all the protein sequences, developed a protein language model. You can predict function, you can predict structure, and that is what has been possible. Like the same way, there are DNA transformers, nucleotide transformers, and all. But what it requires is, it requires huge volume of data and huge computing infrastructure to train it. Just to make the protein language model, a 128 A100 GPUs, which each of the GPUs cost about 15 lakh, has to be continuously used for 1 week. Then only you will be able to train a language model. And this is what companies like Google have done, or many US universities have done. But obviously, we do not have that infrastructure now, but the government is already coming up of 10,000 GPUs, and big projects are coming. But some of the things what you would realize is, you do not need to retrain it. Many of these language models are available. The encodings are available. You can, what Professor was telling in the talk before, like you are doing the fine tuning, you will be able to train those already encoded data to use it. And that is why one more method has been developed, which is called ESM fold, which it uses language model. It also does protein structure prediction, which will do quite fast. ESM fold protein structure prediction is almost like a blast search, whereas AlphaFold, it takes a GPU to predict one structure, you will take a year. So I will touch on one more thing here. Like, once this AlphaFold has talked, especially if you are talking of research, there are different views. Some people will say, oh, AlphaFold is predicting all the structure, there is no need to use actually crystallography. Or some people will say that if somebody who is doing experiment, they'll say, oh, no, they just predicted few of the structure. To really use it, you need to do the experiment. But actual fact is something in between. What we did is, we took all the structures which came in PDB during these 2 years, 21, and this slide is old, cut up, this should be December, like January to December, 2 years, all the structures which have come in PDB, monomer and dimer structures. We ensured that AlphaFold is not use this data for training. We tried to test how well it is predicting. And this is for the students. There are some way RMSD will not work here in this. If there are multi-domain structure, we used a measure called LDDT. These are more technical, you skip it. So out of this, what is the result is, AlphaFold, if it is a monomeric structure, AlphaFold is able to predict almost 84% of the structures correctly. But now let us go to the dimeric structure. You need a little more complex measure. Forget what it is. But in this case, it is only predicting barely about 50% of the structures correctly. If it is oligomeric structure, there are still significant challenges. And in this case, I have told the software it is a dimer. But in reality, if you have a protein, you don't even know if it is a dimer, it's a trimer or a tetramer. So here the performance will still degrade if you ask. So even though this technology, what the message it is giving for science, then if you know the protein is monomeric, probably use AlphaFold and concentrate your experimental effort for more complex oligomeric structures or something. If you have more data on oligomeric structures, these models can be trained better. We can make a higher version of AlphaFold or a better type of technology which can predict better. So this is the message you get from science, and these are some technical details why it fails or something. So there are something else which has happened in this area, which is, again, let us say you predicted structure, you are interested in drug discovery. So most of us, you will use the docking for drug discovery, and docking was done for some purpose. You have a large compound library, you have compounds which do not bind versus compound which binds. It can select compounds which are potential binders from the ones which do not bind. But let us say you selected 1,000 compounds which binds, and you tell your friend to do experiments. Your friend says, I can do experiment only for 20. So what do you require? You want to score those 1,000 and give him the high affinity binders. If you do that, there is a real problem. You take any, this is from a review article, any docking software you take, the best correlation between computational and the predict experimental affinity will come about 0.6. But this is where AIML is helping. There are many AIML based methods are being developed using protein structure, protein ligand complexes. You can get AIML driven scoring functions which can change the prediction, the correlation from 0.6 to 0.8. This is just one work from our group, but there are many such works which are coming. So it is helping. That is why people are going to AI based drug discovery. And anybody who do computational biology, your experimental friends will always tell you, tell me which drug has come from by using docking or the computational. The fact is, drug discovery is a multidisciplinary process. No drug will come just from computational biology or just from experiment. And when you have a huge volume of data, you have to choose few, you have to use computational biology. But with power of AI, now you have compounds like these are a company called In Silico Medicine, which is a Singapore-based company. They are using AI tools for drug discovery, I think. So using this Nature Biotechnology has 2 articles back to back for which are in the phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trial. These are all molecules which have been identified by AIML and all. So this is why the field is booming, and almost every pharma company is either tying up with companies like In Silico Medicine or other companies and moving using AIML for their drug discovery programs in a very significant way. And there are things, I will skip this slide. And AIML is being used also for protein design. Let us say you have a antibody, you know it is binding, you got this monoclonal from either a fast display or by doing hybridoma. You want to change the sequence, it binds with better affinity. Earlier, how will you do? You will use structure, interaction, you will use biophysics rules and tell if this amino acid is here, it will be a better binder. But these are all biophysics based. It did not take into account which stretches of amino acids do occur in nature. So we generated by biophysics some solutions which are not biological sequence like. But if you are guided by a language model, all solutions you will generate by using transformer technology or something are biological sequence like. That is why the protein design, if you have an enzyme, you want to increase its solubility or make it more stable or increase the catalytic efficiency. If you use such language model driven methods, the prediction accuracy has significantly increased. And there are many examples of AIML being used for antibody design, including the cases, I think it is AppScience, a US-based company, UK-based company, which is claiming they are using generative AI. So these types of AI are called generative AI. So because it can generate new sequences, unlike discriminative AI, which can only tell binder, non-binder, antibody, not antibody. So using generative AI, they are saying they will use robotics for automated synthesis and validation. And this technology is going to change field in a very different way. And this is something which, again, This is an example of antimicrobial peptides, which are searching the microbiome to predict which can be potential antimicrobial peptide, because in a healthy microbiome, our beneficial bacteria doesn't allow pathogenic bacteria to grow. They must have some warheads. They use this one, and antimicrobial peptide is one of them. So this is what in one of some of our work we recently predicted, but we have not done the experiments. This is a cell paper from another group. They have done experiment, and I have never seen, after 30 years of experience in computational biology, predictions are working so well. Like they synthesized, predicted 100, synthesized them, 80 of them are giving antimicrobial activity. If you search for antimicrobial peptide, you will find that the AIML, you will find at least 3 to 4 papers in last 1 year in Cell, Nature Biotechnology, this level of journal, because these are the sequences which have been evolutionarily optimized so that they work against another bacteria. That's how this one. So this is where this one. And in this area, there is a lot of potential to work. And when I started my career, where Gitanjali was my first student, we started having our first paper, computational approach for predicting substrate specificity of polyketide synthase. What we are trying to do is search genome, get biosynthetic pathway, and find out which molecules are making. And this area has changed enormously. And this was a data-driven research. And now AIML is transforming it very significantly. And AIML has not changed only the structure prediction. Using AlphaFold, there is something called alpha missense. In the human genome, if you get a variant, you want to tell whether it is pathogenic or it is benign or it is a variant of unknown significance. And usually you will use a database like ClinVar or something where you have direct clinical evidence. But there are a huge number of sequences which are variants, but you don't know whether it is pathogenic or not. Using AlphaFold and language model, the alpha missense, it is again a Google program, will able to assign variants at potential pathogenic or benign or something. This is again another example of DNA language model Grover learns sequence context in the human genome. Like it is again a large language model trained using human genome data, and it is able to get this. Yeah, so now this is all the areas like transformers in single cell omics, like what was another change which has happened is, let us say in single cell omics we use immunology a lot. Somebody who was using TCR-seq was only using the CDR3 beta, CDR6 sequences to do TCR-seq. Somebody who is using transcriptomics is just using gene expression data. By use of this sort of data, you can do multimodal AI. So you can combine your gene expression data with your sequence data, and the clustering you get, like this one, is these clusters are different cell types. And here the correlation with your actual experimental data is much better when you use multimodal AI. And this is the area which is changing very differently. And this is another example. They call it GET, General Expression Transformer. It is a gene expression attack-seq data which has used from almost 200 different cell types, and a transformer model similar to ChatGPT has been trained. This was a Nature paper, and what they claim in this paper is, if you give a new cell type which was not there in the training set, they are able to predict gene expression profile in this one. So this is, and there is something, this is not the example from biology, but it is telling you an accurate prediction of small data with a tabular foundation model. Like there are a lot of AI is done with just the Excel sheet. You have a lot of data. Using that data, you have to predict something. Like here, you have to predict the risk of disease. Here, you have to tell what is the flower. For each of this data, you have to develop a general machine learning model for each specific. But it is again a Nature paper. They say AI tool that can interpret any spreadsheet. Like it is a generalized model. It is independent of whether it is a biological data, physical data, or something. And the way they have done it is amazing. They have not used actual data in training. They have actually used synthetic data. So what they are claiming in this paper is, you need to be a hardcore AI computer scientist to probably critically evaluate it. Their claim is, each type of data, real life data, has some pattern. By generating synthetic data on the computer, they are able to reproduce that pattern, and using that, they are able to do this sort of like their AI model. You can give any spreadsheet, it will be able to predict without being specifically programmed for this thing. And this is example of clinical AI. I will skip this. And what it tells you is once your predictive power is increasing, you will be able to do what this thing, Professor Sahasra Buddhe was telling, how the blood flow is happening and things like that. You will be able to do a digital twin. Like digital twin is used in manufacturing industry. If Maruti is making a car, it has a computer model of the car, so new designs are tested there. Aerospace industry uses, but biology, it was too complex. We will not be able to make a digital twin of a human being or a digital twin of a plant. But with all these methods changing, things are changing very rapidly, that people are making digital twin of immune system. Dassault, which is aerospace company, is making digital twin of heart, and Siemens is making digital twin of liver, and Nokia is doing digital. So there are things which are changing very rapidly. And of course, BioE3, where Gitanjali talked about, if you see design, build, test, learn cycle, design and learn are the things where AI is going to be used very extensively. And this is the last slide I was telling. It relates to the type of agents or something which Professor Sahasra Buddhe was telling. This is something, this is again taken from Nature News Views. Virtual lab powered by AI scientists supercharges biomedical research. And this paper is still not published. It is based on a bioarchive paper. So they designed AI agents which can do a new SARS-CoV antibody prediction. So the way you do it in the lab, supervisor will design a project, tell a set of students, somebody is an immunologist, somebody is a machine learning scientist, somebody is a computational biologist. So each of these are not human researchers. They are AI agents, and they all use the same AlphaFold protein design software, and they talk to each other. This paper, all of you should read, and I can leave the slides here. If you go to this DOI, you will get it. So now there are very interesting conversation, how these agents are discussing in the lab meeting, what are the things they're talking to each other. And finally, what they see is many of the constructs that they give, it is possible to, it is working in the actual experiment. So this is telling the type of the power of AI, which is this, but it is not telling that AI will replace the lab with this thing. The work which are of routine type will be done by AI, and we can, the human being can be devote the time to do more complex things. Of course, what they are telling AI doesn't mean that none of them has any human intervention. Each of them, there will be human intervention. We can do better things. And finally, before I talk, when you do AI, we have to have very good standards. So one is the type of ethical standards which Professor Sahasra Buddhe talked. You are going to discuss about that. There has to be very good, robust data standard. So recommendations. So there are all guidelines are coming. Recommendations are supervised machine learning. What sort of data standards should be there? We should all stick to it. And coming to and of course, ethical aspect of AI is important. But here, one thing, there should not be too much of scare about unethical use, because if we generate too much of a scare about unethical, it would become like your transgene technology or something. It's a useful technology, but people are so much of concerned we are not using it. So we have to balance between ethical use, as well as we must put robust guidelines in place. There is no unethical use, but at the same time, just being scared that, oh, it will be there will be some unethical use, we should not stop the developments. So with this, I will stop, and thank you.
The stage is now open for question. Please feel free to ask.
Yeah, please. Maybe you can introduce you are from. Okay. Okay. You can speak louder if you can. This okay. If you speak louder, it will be fine.
Okay.
Everybody can hear.
Yeah, fine. Now, so this was very illuminating talk for us. We have been, some of our colleagues have been recently trying to introduce AI into climate science and polar research. And being biologist, I'm a microbiologist. My colleague over here, he's also a marine biologist. So we are really interested in looking into the use of AI as a tool. One question that came in my mind in one of your slides where you showed that the AI was able to create, analyze a spreadsheet having synthetic data set. So one thing that pops in our mind is that means the AI has the ability to generate fake data.
Yeah.
And if the fake data is so realistic, and if that is coming out into the open without getting detected, which means that it can influence the policy, it can influence the decision makers' choice.
Yeah.
How do we take care of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is an example of unethical use, and there are ways to detect, like, even if, okay, on a regular way of analyzing the way we look at it, we cannot detect, it is not easy to detect fake data from real data. But about this, I think, but there are technology which are coming, which are able to judge, like even journals are using it. They want you to give a declaration. Did you write the paper using any AI tool? If you used, you have to tell that I used this to write this part, this part. If you did not, if you said, no, I didn't use, and you have used some AI tool, they will be able to detect. There are tools are being developed to detect it. There are the different patterns to it, like the way plagiarism, but there are many ways. There are patterns from which they can detect it. That is one way. But in this, I read an article by a school teacher. He had written in the newspaper. He gave an example of a essay which was written by ChatGPT when ChatGPT had initially come. He pointed out very nicely, if I have seen, I have taught years, he has taught 30, 40 years in a school, he has seen essays written by so many students. He says, for me, it is very easy to find out if it is a essay written by a student or it is written by ChatGPT. He had given very nice examples, like the way your sentence is there, it is conveying the same meaning, your sentiment behind the sentence is missing. But it is a double-edged sword, and you will make technology to detect that. But obviously, the technology to generate things which will carry the same sentiments will improve. It is a war on the both sides. Okay, but there will be tools to detect it. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, as can detect that what is coming from ChatGPT and what is by a particular researcher. But sir, for the technology point of view, I think fine for the thing because especially to ChatGPT, like the framing of the question and what very important for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
AI and for many of my scholars like diabetes and some other scholars diabetes. So how useful is this combination in terms of like biology and the art? Let's talk about AI. AI is the need for art. How we can balance this? Because as how that's limited, also there and also not skip from the fact that how to balance.
Yeah, I mean, there will be technology to detect fake data, but obviously, like that, even that technology will not be foolproof. See, there are always concerns about some researcher intentionally doing some fudging of the data or on it. There are many examples, people doing that, but there is no real solutions to it unless you mounting a camera on every researcher and as the person is doing. There is no real, even that system also will collapse. There are ways to check it if it is this one, but it will require efforts from both direction. But coming to your question of using ChatGPT, a computer science being able to detect and a biologist finding too difficult, it is a little different. See, the ChatGPT is the only use of ChatGPT or something, not just to find answers to a question. What ChatGPT permitted to do is Earlier, the AI has been used for many years, machine learning has been used for many years. Scientific data, if you understand the scientific process, you could encode it as a computer, like a feature vector or something, use it for prediction. But the data which are very disparate type, like what is something is gene expression, something is sequence, and another thing is just the literature citations. This type of diverse data, there was no easy way to integrate it. What language models and all have given is that power of ChatGPT, and especially to learn from unlabeled data. See, like the power of ChatGPT is you can use a huge amount of any sort of language models or that sort of thing, is the use of unlabeled data to train a model and then further fine tune it with a labeled data. So that is the technology which can be used not to just answer questions, to do many types of complex questions in biology. It can be used. And if you see the genome sequencing technology when it came, and it was like not many people could use those programs to like how to assemble a genome or something. But now the technology has become democratized. Every average biologist will be able to run the code and all this. So AIML is again going to get integrated, and there are all low code AI, no code AI, all these things are coming. And even the hardcore programmers are using ChatGPT type of thing or GitHub Pilot to write their code. So writing a code will not be only the domain of a programmer. For certain type of code, an average biologist will be able to get the ChatGPT, use ChatGPT to get a code and use for this analysis. So it will give you access to this technology to people. You do not necessarily have to be trained in that. Of course, if you are trained, you understand it is better. But even if you are not trained, you will be able to use those. So that is the point which was, and of course, and this is, I think, just few days today only I was looking in the Google whatever news come. So they are saying they have come something called Titan, and which is they think will be a technological like a jump like Transformer did, and Transformer had a short-term memory. By Titan, by Google is going to get you a long-term memory, and it is like a student doesn't necessarily have to memorize it. You write down in notebook and keep it. When you need it, you go back to the notebook. If you think of a AI equivalent of this task, what the Forbes magazine writes is this Titan is going to be the technology of that type. So the way the field is changing, the possibilities are enormous. Of course, the misuse also possibilities are enormous. We should use it judiciously. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you all for your great participation. More questions can be asked in the final question answer session. I would like to thank Dr. Debashish Mohanty for his invaluable insights into AI-driven research in the biological sciences. May I now request the Director of NIPGR and workshop convener to kindly felicitate Dr. Debashish Mohanty with a small token of our respect and appreciation. Now, we will have a panel discussion on the theme of AI in startups, featuring industry experts who have successfully integrated AI into their entrepreneurial ventures. Our first panelist is Ms. Shreya Malik, a biotechnologist with over 14 years of experience in technology management, grant management, and entrepreneurship development. Shreya has worked with notable organizations such as Intus Biopharmaceuticals, Biotech Consortium India, and the Startup Incubation and Innovation Center, IIT Kanpur, where she is currently leading the biotech, medtech, and foodtech startup verticals. Recently, she was selected for the 2024 Women Leadership in STEM program under Grand Challenges India. Ms. Shreya Malik, please come.
Good afternoon, everyone, dignitaries and students, faculty members, and my fellow startups. First of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, workshop convener, and also Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, Director NIPGR, for inviting me for this informative workshop. Also, it has been an honor to meet Professor Sashtrabudhe and Dr. Debashish Mohanty and listen to their enlightening talks. So I look after all the biotechnology, medtech, healthcare, and food tech, agri-tech startups at IIT Kanpur. And at IIT, my role envisages uh, encouraging student entrepreneurs and faculty to become entrepreneurs and commercialize their technologies. And a big part of our responsibility is helping startups in their commercialization journey. So these days, so when I was a student and when we used to talk about the biotech industry, so the biotech industry was divided into 4-5 segments like biopharma, bioagriculture, bioindustry, bioservices. And as a student, when somebody used to ask me that which are the products which are there in agri biotechnology, and we used to talk about tissue culture plants, herbicide resistant plants, drought resistant plants, nutritionally dense products like fortified rice or something or the other, and biostimulants. But now the kind of startups that we have incubated at IIT Kanpur, specifically in AI, in agri-tech, you will be surprised to know that out of the 50 agri-tech startups that we have at IIT Kanpur, 50% or 60% of the startups are AI, ML, IoT based startups using AI technology for disease analytics, for predictive analytics, for disease management, for crop protection, for farm management. And that's the advent of technologies, that these are the new age startups that are there. So we have a startup called Agronex Technologies, which is using AI models for soil testing. Then they are also using different AI models for pest detection. So basically they have a scarecrow in a field, and it is connected with internet, and whenever there are some pests in the vicinity, so using the AI models, they detect the type of pest, and then they send an alert to the farmer's phone that this pest has been detected and appropriate action may be taken. Similarly, we have startups who are into AI based water testing. So they have a machine which is sort of integrated in the farmland, and based on the size of the plot and the crop type and the water table around that area, they routinely, it gives inputs to the farmer about how much is the water input required for his crop at every internal, so that the crop is not destroyed due to water logging. So these are some of the interesting startups that we have, and they are already there in the market. Similarly, we have Mr. Amit Srivastav here with us from StillsWeb, and he has developed a very interesting tool for precision farming, and he will share it with you during the panel discussion. Coming to healthcare, we have several startups that are using AI, IoT, and ML in healthcare for healthcare products. Telemedicine and digital health technologies, wearable technologies is the future. And there are so many startups working in different areas of well-being. There's a startup which is detecting blood glucose in a non-invasive manner. And there are so many different startups, like share the example of Lenec Technologies. Lenec Technologies is a startup which is collecting data of different X-rays and has provided an AI-based comprehensive platform. So in case tomorrow a doctor takes your X-ray, but probably they do not have the wherewithal, or there's a non-skilled personnel in a remote setting who do not know how to interpret the X-ray, they will just upload the X-ray in that website, and the website will predict that is there that whether there are any such kind of conditions, or are you suffering from TB, or do you need to go to any other tertiary hospital for advice. So these are some of the interesting things that these startups are working on. And we also have two startups with us. One is Genomic Solutions, Dr. Diksha Bhartiya will be talking about her technology. And we have Mr. Prashant Chaudhary, who is using AI tools for detection of neonatal jaundice. So with these examples of different types of startups, we are here to encourage you to show that entrepreneurship is a very promising career option for students and for researchers. And we have few role models for you to look at them to understand their journey. How did they start? What is their technology? How did they do market assessment? How did they collect user feedback? And what are their future plans? We are here till lunch, and we'll be happy to answer questions from students on how to go about their journey. And once again, thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Dr. Diksha Bhartiya, the founder and director of Genomics Solutions, a leading bioinformatics startup specializing in genome informatics solution. Dr. Bhartiya's expertise in computational genomics has been instrumental in driving innovation in healthcare, diagnostics, and genome-based research.
First of all, it gives me immense pleasure to be here in front of my mentors, Dr. Gitanjali, Dr. Debashish, and Debashish sir. It was a pleasure to hear about their views on AI. Being a bioinformatics scientist, it is always data is the main thing that we actually work on. So I've been trained in working on various genomics data sets. And as a part of my journey, which Dr. Gitanjali also asked me to talk to students about my entrepreneurial journey. So I'll briefly cover something those points. So I am a trained bioinformatics scientist. I did my PhD, then worked as a project scientist in ICMR for a couple of years, moved for postdoc, and then realized the importance of data that is coming up. So, and when we were working, we realized that a lot of genetic testing is coming very frequently in healthcare. COVID happened, and then everybody started understanding about the importance of genomics. So, those thoughts, I realized that this is my calling, and I started Genomics, where we started working on developing genome informatics solutions for empowering medical insights. The idea was to give doctors, hospitals, labs solutions which they can use to analyze, interpret, and report for adequate, better, accurate reports to patients for various genetic tests. So these, and because of our area of interest was a lot on rare disorders, 300 million people across the globe are suffering from various rare disorders, like 7,000 of them are known. 30% of these rare disorders, I mean, 70% happen in children, and these 30% of these children die before the age of 5. The reason, because of misdiagnosis or delay in diagnosis. And if we as bioinformaticians can help the doctors, the scientific community, and the labs take a better decision to help the lives of these children and these patients, I think we could have used our skills and knowledge to help a person's life. And when we started working on that, we realized that not just GI, but AI can also helping a lot. So with the help of GI, AI, and HI, which is human intellect, we started building our genome informatics solutions with the idea to empower various medical insights. And The idea was very clear that we have to uncover those genetic variants which are linked with diseases. And the magic started happening when we combined those insights with AI. So these were the different products which in due course of time we launched, which are working on inherited disorders, cancer markers, identifying cancer markers and reportings, screening newborn disorders, monogenic disorders in newborns, screening couples. So these were the different products. I'm just showing these products to tell you that as a part of a journey of last 2.5 years almost, we finally were able to bring these products in the market and help the community and the diagnostic labs and hospitals. But at the back end of these products, what actually goes is a cloud-based solution which we help, where we import the raw data from a lab, a patient, which is a genetic FASTQ5, which most of you might know, from a genetic test that we get. No, any kind of platform, we started utilizing, making it platform agnostic, import that data on a cloud server, and started working on the genome informatics pipelines. That is the GI algorithm that we wanted to do. When we started doing that, what we end up with that is a list of, most of you might know what happens in a normal NGS analysis or variant calling pipeline. What we end up is almost around one exome data gives you somewhere around 20,000 to 40,000 of variants. What you have to do is to filter those variants, and the idea is to identify that one single variant responsible for that disease. You can also go for 2, 5, or maybe top 10 so that you can prioritize to that one. But how do you actually prioritize those, let's say, top 10 variants out of those 30,000 or 40,000 of, let's say, 10,000 variants that you get from that VCF file? Yes, you have to apply a lot of GI, a lot of genome informatics, and we know dedicated filters like allele frequencies are important. We know there are a lot of medical parameters which are important to do those filterings. But when it comes to identifying the disease causativity of that particular variant based on the phenotype of a patient, means how the symptoms of a patient can relate to the causing or the pathogenicity of that particular variant, we had to come and knock the doors of AI to do that variant prioritization. So basically, what we actually ended up doing was to identify using evidence-based genomic biomarker, utilize AI-enabled variant prioritization. Once we did that prioritization and reached to the scale where we could identify those mutations, those variants, which were pathogenic, disease-causing, matched with patient phenotype and should be reported, the next challenge that we started facing was that a doctor who might or may not understand genetics might not be able to read this variant number, which comes in a coding format or a amino acid change format, a protein coding change or a coding change. So what should be the way to tell it to a doctor? It should be a written interpreted text. But when we started working with labs, we used to get like so many, hundreds of samples per month. And if we start writing each and every one, we were delaying the diagnosis ourselves. So we went and then again knocked the door of AI and started using large language-based models. We developed our in-house model, utilizing structured queries. I have flowcharts for students also that how we actually did it. So I just wanted to give you an overview in the first slide. So we started using large language models for providing the detailed reporting of not just the variant, but also the gene, also the disease, and correlated together them. So on the basis of a structured query, which one of the person pointed out here, utilizing a structured query module, we started using LLM to provide detailed reporting. Then once we do the reporting, the second step is what are the available interventions and how the patient can be treated. Diagnosis is one thing. Since we are working in diagnostics, we also were asked to provide the available or what all interventions can be provided. Definitely, there is a lot of human intervention, known interventions over there. But can we also use pharmacogenomic recommendations using an AI-enabled feature? And this is the module that we are currently working on. Rest of the modules are already in the place in the market, and we are already giving to our clients. And right now, we are utilizing various pharmacogenomic data sets to identify how we can we can combine the genetic profile of a patient, understand the genetic profile, and enable various pharmacogenomic recommendations along with that. So if I talk in details about how we are doing it, it's a standard GATK pipeline that we started working on, optimized according to the different types of data sets we started getting for various genetic disorders, and utilizing that information, what we find, as I mentioned, yes. So once we started utilizing the standard GATK pipelines to deliver or identify various genetic mutations in the patient samples after doing variant processing, identifying pathogenicity and prioritizing using these pathogenic variants on the basis of phenotype were performed using our AI algorithms. We started with simpler ML-based algorithms and then utilized different data sets to train the models and enhance the prediction. And like I said previously, then once we identified or prioritized the mutations, the second or the next step was to provide a detailed variant interpretation using various LLM-based models to finally provide a clinical report to the doctor, or to a lab. And like I said previously, a large part of GI has to go in to feed to the AI. And so that we can provide a clinical report for a human intervention or human intelligence to provide it to the patient. And this is how the variant prioritization was planned. Since I am running short on time, I'll be happy to answer your queries after the session as well. But the idea was to utilize the information from databases and read the literature through an AI-enabled mechanism to classify the variants into different classes and identify which variants were pathogenic and can be reported in the clinical report. This is how the detailed interpretations were. Once we prioritize those variants, we use the filtering and phenotype matching to identify the prioritized ones, use the various variant parameters, and developed an LLM interpretation API, which provides essentially which utilizes a structured query to gather the information about various variants. And once we get the results in a JSON object, we format that variant interpretation to be provided to a clinician. So this entire report that has been provided here as a screenshot has been fetched through our LLM query itself, and which has been formatted to provide to a particular clinician. So this was all about how we can utilize and apply AI in clinical settings, and how we can but when we are talking about utilizing of AI, I would like to touch upon a very brief note here. Like Spider-Man has said, with great power comes great responsibility. And with great data or great AI, we have to be responsible enough to how to utilize this information, because now the data and AI has given us a lot of power to analyze, understand, and report many things. But definitely human intelligence has to supersede all of them to understand and analyze what to report and what not to report. So with that note, I would like to end my talk and briefly introduce you to my team. This is me, and Dr. Sunil is an AI stalwart helping us to apply the synergies of genome informatics and AI, and extract the potential of redefining healthcare. And like I said, we have to be responsible enough to understand how to report and what not to report. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to have your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Diksha. Our next panelist is Mr. Prashant Chaudhary, founder and director of AI products at Predoc.ai, Prashant brings over 16 years of experience in AI and has worked with both Fortune 500 companies and high growth startups developing cutting edge AI solutions for a variety of sectors. Just a second.
I think लग गया. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it's been pretty informative session, and thank you to Dr. Devashish. It was really an informative technical details that he specified, and actually a lot of that I was thinking of covering up, but it's really nice to have it. So we are pre-doc, and what we do is we identify neonatal jaundice using AI. So basically I'm a core technical guy, an AI person, but I do have a childhood friend who is an MD doctor. So we together, figured out this concept. So it's a neonatal jaundice is basically there's a test which draws blood, and that pricking of the child is painful for the mother as well as the child. So we required a non-invasive method. So how usually doctors do is they test it without the test, and they do it manually like this. Can we have the sound?
Observe for yellow tinge. We see a faint yellow tinge on the baby's nose. Here, we'll compare a baby with no jaundice, a baby with mild jaundice, another baby with mild jaundice, and a baby with severe jaundice.
So that is how the doctors do. Yeah. So doctors, they just go and check it manually. They don't go for the test unless they see that the child is getting yellowish, and that is where misdiagnosis happen, and it can lead to brain damage, to any kind of physical problems stemming out of the brain issues that will happen. So there is one more mechanism which is available, which is non-invasive, is the bilirubinometer, which is normally prevalent in Western countries. It is not highly accurate on darker skin tones. That is why in India it's not normally used, even though it is available. But the AIMS research, one of the AIMS research said that it's 69% accuracy on Indian skin tones, and it's pretty expensive also. So it's costing 2 to 3 lakhs rupees. So that is where we figure out that we need a solution which is non-invasive based on AI, and that is what we devised. A simple solution where you record the video of the child while pressurizing the nose, just like the doctors do, and the AI will do its work. It'll figure out how much, the yellowness was in the skin, and, or how much pressure was applied. And all those are basically AI models that can be used to, automate that manual process. So basically, we are replacing the eyes of the doctors and, making it more precise to figure out jaundice. So there's a demo of this, the app in work.
With pre-doc, all you need to do is your baby or gently pressing on their forehead. Next, enter some details, like your little gems.
Record the video. Now enter the details and figure out where you pressurized. So that is the part of AI where figures out, how the, where the pressure was applied, which inside the video, which frame was, identifies that when the pressure was applied, all that. So basically, that is how it does. The AI does its work. So this is a low-hanging fruit. These kind of, while we were doing this, we had other options as well. Like we conducted a POC on strep throat and sore throat. There's a difference between bacterial and viral infection in the type of the type of marks that it leaves in your throat. So we also did an experiment that it can be identified using a camera or not. So it can be. So how we see the future of these diagnoses. Maybe these days we have mohalla clinics over here. Tomorrow, after let's say 5-6 years, you'll have a mohalla kiosks where you don't require normal doctors for normal, throat infection, fever and all. You just go into that kiosk, the camera, some basic apparatus, and AI gives you a proper medical advice, and that too, at a almost at the MD level doctor accuracy. So I'll just skip these because we do have one competitor in Norway who's also doing the same thing, and that's it. Yeah, before going, I would want to raise one more point. That is, tomorrow, this 2025 year is the year of agents. So the research that you guys are doing, let's say, if there's a genomic research or there's anything that requires a well thought of plan and the data from various sources. So these agentic workflows that will come up this year, there will be for biotechnology researchers as well, where you ground your research onto some data set. Let's say there are 10,000 documents that can be referred to one simple problem. You tell the agent your problem. The agent will figure out which document has the information which I need to solve the problem. It will devise out a plan, then access other databases to access those kind of information, do a proper in-depth research, and then provide you the solution. So it's not just one chat GPT that is going to give you the answer. It's the agentic world that we are going to go into. That's it. Thank you. Pen drive.
Thank you, Mr. Prashant. The last speaker of the panel is Mr. Amit Srivastav, the founder and CEO of Stillweb and co-founder of Srajal AI, an AI-driven company focused on image processing and agricultural data analytics. Amit's entrepreneurial journey and his commitment to transforming industries through AI make him a key figure in the startup ecosystem.
Hi everyone. Am I audible till the back? Okay. So myself, Amit, I'm founder of Stillsweb and Srijan AI. So these are actually two different products and from two completely different industries. So I'll quickly brief about my entrepreneurial journey. So I graduated from IIT Kharagpur back in 2014, particularly MS by research. So I have also been a research student. And so I started up with my first venture in 2015 itself. And during COVID, we pivoted. I have been working with image industry for like almost 9 to 10 years. And eventually, like with AI, I have been working for like last 6 years. So we are accelerating the ecosystem with cutting edge, smart and intelligent SaaS-based solutions, including AI and image processing, and then further data analytics. So the first product that with this self that we are presenting is we are providing the smart, intelligent, automated workflow solutions for seller onboarding. I think many of you would have heard of ONDC, Open Network for Digital E-commerce, right? And all of you might be using many of the e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, Zepto, Blinkit, and many more. Imagine the kind of volume of data that being processed at the back end, right? So we help onboarding sellers from tier 2, tier 3 cities by helping them do the image auto customization for them, so that even people with no technology experience, no understanding of the technology could actually use the product, and they can help them getting onboarded to the marketplaces. So we have different SaaS-based solutions over here. So we have been working with like various industries, not only from the e-commerce. This for agri-tech, we have recently started working with, where we have been developing a comprehensive farm health monitoring platform. So why do we needed this to work on this platform particularly? So imagine the farms, current farming practices, and if you would ask any farmer, they will always tell you that even whether they have an acre farm or even more than that, they always tell you a figure that they are able to produce a particular amount of ton per acre, right? That's the maximum yield that they are able to get. But is that the ideal number? No, right? Because of various reasons, climate scenarios, farming practices, lack of identification of pest infestations in right time, many more reasons because of which yields are not at the maximum when they reach the harvesting period, right? So we actually we monitor those farms with geospatial data, uh, and we are able to identify the gaps because of which the yields are not able to meet the gaps. So it's a advanced precision agriculture platform involving data analytics and geospatial to identify the gaps in the yield efficiency. We analyze soil health, crop health, water availability, and yield predictions, and further using ML models to build recommendations to offer smart farming practices. So I'll show you a video so that how does it work. So we have also developed a boundary delineation method. Imagine this is a farm area, right? Imagine if you want to calculate the area of these farms. Do we actually need to calculate the area of the farms? If you ask a farmer, he will always tell you what is the total size of the farm, like how much acre it is or hectare it is, right? Or biga it is. But why do we need to have this kind of aerial calculation? Imagine a kind of a farm which is a large size and you have vegetation in some areas. In some areas, you have some bare soil, you have some pest infected areas. And if you want to identify that how much is that patch, how much area of that patch is which is actually effective vegetation, or for any of the areas which is like how much area is affected by the pest, or how much is completely bare soil. So you cannot do that. How many geometric patterns that you will implement over there, you will always have an approximation. So we have developed a AI image processing model that can help identifying those patches, and it is able to calculate the accurate field calculations. So we have also developed various AI and image processing video analytics models that could help actually crowd management solution for the Kumbh Mela, even that is happening right now. So we won a hackathon also that was organized last year. So to build a solution related to crowd management and surveillance. Some of the models that we developed was across crowd density analysis, queue management, anomaly detection, identify and tracking individual identification of missing persons, and optimizing resource allocation based on the real-time data analytics. So we have also developed some models around 3D visualization of industrial products. You see the 3D renders, right? Even in bio also you look at maybe 3D models like that. So we have developed some AI models that can create kind of a digital twin for your industrial products. We have also developed an image segmentation model that could help visualizing of images. And we have been also developing a virtual try-on solution for e-commerce products. So talking about the AI in agriculture particularly that we have been using is for precision farming, pest identification, irrigation management, yield prediction, automated machinery, supply chain optimization, climate resilience, and advisory service for farmers. So we have been using AI for this. So let me share a video that you could understand that how Srijan AI is particularly working. Do we have sound? So this is particularly showcasing all the farms that are mapped on India. Within India, even we can look at other countries also. This is a way to add the farm into the product. So this is actually where we have developed the boundary delineation method. So if we click any particular image on the map, so it will automatically identify the patch. Currently, we have disabled it because we have been developing it further. So we are putting the plantation and harvesting period in which we will be monitoring the farm. And the best part about geospatial data is that we can go back in the time. We always need not to have real-time data. So once we have integrated the farm, we have a farm management, farm dashboard where you can see the real time everything. We are able to give all the weather data also, weather forecasting for next 5 to 6 days. These are the spatial data that we are able to fetch. So from geospatial data, we have been able to identify the soil profile like soil pH, soil moisture, salinity, soil organic carbon, NPK. So even it could come as an alternative to soil testing devices as well. It may not be like 100% accurate comparative to those devices, but definitely it could give you good enough results for saving a lot of your cost. Like many of the farmers, they conduct 1 or 2 times soil testing before doing their plantation, but this could actually give you week on week performance. Whether you when you apply for fertilizer or you supply any inputs to the farm. And best part about the geospatial data is that we could also look at that how the performance have been changing, how the performance has been happening in the farm. Like when you apply fertilizer, how this like vegetation has been growing, how if you have been doing irrigation regularly, how the irrigation has been progressive in the farms. So you could actually see it date by date. Similarly for soil health, soil nutrient. So if you look at, so we also provide the activity scores, like in the top, you are able to see this Gauss meter. We'll just count this yield estimation, farming activities. So we provide 4 kind of activity score. One is a crop health, where we rate the vegetation in the farm based on vegetation, crop health, nitrogen, chlorophyll content. Based on that, we calculate the activity score. And then we also do the farming activity score, where we are rating the farming activities based on, mainly we measure the irrigation pattern in the soil. And then yield estimation is based on the nitrogen and chlorophyll content of the crops. And then overall we have farm performance. So we could also see the scores, like how performance has been growing over the time with this graph. And we have been using clustering algorithms for developing the observation and recommendation models for the crop. So currently we have like opened up the label based recommendation, but we are coming up with a way where we can actually like provide recommendations like based on NPK values, at what kind of composition of fertilizer that it could actually use based on the existing soil moisture, what kind of irrigation that would be needed for the coming week. Similarly, if there is any pest infestation that is happening, so before time, that you will be able to identify. One of the best use case for this product is like large cooperatives, even for government who is looking at like driving a mass number of farms. So like imagine if you have like 10,000, if you're talking to a government, then this number is like 100,000 farms you could actually simultaneously manage. Out of 100,000 farms, if you want to identify how many of them are actually progressive at the moment, this is the product could actually help you. If you want to identify how many of them actually needed irrigation the next week, how many of them are facing like pest infestation, how many of them are having deficiency of the NPK, or maybe like who is having lower pH. So you could actually use this platform to monitor that. And the best part over here is that this data for individual farms, like based on weekly recommendations that are coming, could directly be communicated to the farmer and user. It could come to their mobile, either through SMS or through WhatsApp. So currently we are focusing on B2B, and also we have like started doing pilots with farmers also. Then slowly we are also doing some pilots with bigger companies also, where they have got more than 40 to 50,000 farms like that. Thank you. Open for questions. Sure, sir. Sure. Sure, sir. We are trying to squeeze as much as geospatial data as possible, because the first objective of developing this product is to reduce the cost of operations in the agriculture. Then only we could actually control the final output cost. Yes, sir. Yes, sure, sir. I will do that. So one of our clients very recently faced Ola. So they had, and they were really not aware that how the weather is coming and how could they rely on multiple applications for them managing their farms. So this could be a single application to manage the entire farms. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm a botanist teaching in Deshbandhu College, University of Delhi. I'm very interested in the kind of application that you have developed here. What I'm interested in knowing is, have you ever used this to study landwater system degradation?
If you remove mic, I think it will be better. There is a lot of echo.
To study land.
Not yet, but if you look at, we are like, as a name suggests, Srijan AI, so we analyze the land. So we are currently focusing on the crop monitoring sector particularly, and eventually it could go for land analysis, for even eventually for infrastructure related thing or land degradation as well. If we could definitely look at, so currently we focusing on like sustaining through the clients, so that we prioritize our research based on the client requirements, so that we could fund actually our project. So we have invested a lot of money from our side to develop this product, and further we have been funding this through our clients only, and we started generating revenues also from this. Sorry? No freelance. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Sweetie from Ramjas College. And my question is that as the technologies and AI are growing, and due to this, there are negative impact on our nature. For example, the growing greenhouse emissions. And by using these technologies, we are again trying to control the negative impact on our nature. So what's your opinion on that, so that the emissions can be controlled, and the further steps could not be required in our future?
Hello. Thank you. So let me reply to you. So my product is not at all impacting the nature negatively. It is definitely adding the positive side of it. Let me tell you how. So current farming practices, how do you inspect a farm? Either you are going on ground or you are deploying IoT, you are using drones for the inspection, right? Various methods. And if you're not doing that, what is kind of farming practices these farmers are adopting are simply like, if this is a particular crop season where the time of the season where pest infestation will happen, okay, then spread the fertilizer across, add the urea as much as possible in the farm so that we have maximum output, right? So we do not understand the need, the requirement, what is the demand of that farm, right? And we simply apply input over there. So first of all, we are burning lot of money to apply those input in the farm, and we have only objective of maximizing the yield, right? So how we are doing it, like when we have been monitoring the farm through geospatial data, we have week on week data, we have like even weekly twice we have the data of the farm, that how the farm has been growing, and we are able to understand, we have been able to profile the farm, we are able to profile the crop health, soil health based on the geospatial data, and then we are identifying the demand, and based on that we are suggesting that you do not need to spread the fertilizer across the 10 acre of your farm. You have pest infected area maybe for half a acre only, and you can maximum spread this much amount of pesticide for, instead of half acre you could add some more area around it, like maybe maximum not more than an acre. So you will be able to save a lot of money on the input supply as well. And if you're able to maximize your yield without using these inputs, you would definitely add like positive. You're not producing the inorganic output, right?
Okay.
So with if you're able to identify the right requirement in time, then you are able to address it. Because we do not address it in time, because we do not get to know in time, because of which we have to add a lot of inputs to enhance the productivity of the farms. So this is helping both. This is actually impacting both ways. It is increasing the cost of the produce also, which is at the end coming in the market, like onion, tomato, everything is overpriced right now in the market, because and most of the prices are controlled by the big companies. They have an expectation of X amount of revenues out of their all the farms, right? And with our inputs, we are able to maximize that revenue by 30 to 40% like that. Thank you. We can have questions in person.
Shwetang Sharma from Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences. I have a question for Dr. Diksha. Actually, two questions. The first is that there are genomic variants which are disease causing, and then you get genomic variants which are disease associated. How accurately is your system differentiating between these two? Second is that LLMs are infamous for hallucination. So the report that is generated eventually, how accurate is it, or is it kind of confusing the clinician eventually?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for the question. So because here we are dealing with diagnostic reporting or screening reporting directly to the patients, so we are not taking into account anything which is disease associated. We are only focusing on which is known to be disease causing, which is known to be pathogenic, either known or the algorithm tends towards it being a disease causative pathogenicity. So like I showed in my slides, there are different categories where the algorithm categorizes and we picks up which is disease, directly disease causing. Disease association is good to know, but not for medical purposes. It will be there, good to know in research purposes. For your second question, very accurate. This is a very good question because we had faced the challenge of getting accurate reports from the LLM models also. So while I was presenting, I also mentioned that we had to structure the query. First of all, when whatever LLM models you use, the first input is the structured query. Then what we get from a structured query is an output which has to be formatted and interpreted, which has to be provided to the report. So before sending any report to a patient, a clinician, even a doctor, we have, like I mentioned, the final report has to go through an HI version, which is a human intellect. that has to be involved. Definitely, we had not, typing and checking, because and also when we are using these LLMs, we are making sure that the data either is trained in-house. So there are two versions that we are using. One is the data that is trained in-house. The second, we are also gathering the information from not just anything from the internet, but dedicated databases or data sets that are out there. For example, ClinVar or anything which is actually made to answer these questions. Not, any random website we are going and the LLM fetching. No, that's not happening. So the structure query is pointing towards a adequate data set or a database which provides because it's ultimately going to be a medical information. Yeah, I hope. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How you distinguish between working versus but now when you is going to use it, how is it that part of the handle? If they are taking it, I will take or because otherwise, how does one know? So, Nipgr is good, but Nipgr is one second.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
That is where your tool is coming.
That's what.
How are you doing that?
So first of all, we are providing the details of what exactly methodology was followed. But like you said, for the AI part, what we try to give to the clinician as a part of interpretation is not just the interpretation, but also the references from where the data might have been taken, either literature references, because to be honest, the literature references are also directly being fetched through the model. And so that we can, and the human intervention has to make sure that whether everything matches. So because once we have the references, so whatever, like for example, if we give a half page or 1 page report, that might not be even sufficient for a doctor to take a call. So he may have to follow the references. There are two use cases. One, to claim that whatever we have done has some reference. Second, the doctor has to use the reference to dig deeper, might have to follow up and all those things. Secondly, before launching anything in the market, we have to go through a validation protocol. So for every lab or every hospital or every clinician we provide a lot of validation, so that we go through we get the concordance of some retrospective samples. This is how it is done for genome informatics, and for AI we provide the accuracy measures that we have.
Thank you everyone for your participation. We are running short on time, but feel free to ask any questions. Oh, sorry.
Sure. So because there are so many researchers over here and students over here, and we routinely get these questions about how do we also embark on this in journey. So just would like to leave this information with you that there are several entrepreneur fellowships out there for students like you, PhD students, master students. Please go through the websites of BIRAC, DST, DBT, Ministry of Electronics, and whatnot, and different institutional incubators also have their own funds, and they provide fellowships for ideation stage, for prototype stage, and even for later stages when you have done that journey. So I request all of you to go through those websites, keep checking for updates, and a lot of our student innovators have been benefited from these kind of different fellowships. Like Prashant has biotechnology ignition grant from BIRAC. Both of them have received funding from Ministry of Electronics, and even entrepreneurship in residence. Also CSR grant from Citibank, Startup India Seed Fund. So please do your research. Also, we come across a lot of innovators in agri-tech who have not spoken to a single farmer till date, and healthcare innovators who have not spoken to a doctor till date. So please do your homework, due diligence, and then embark on this journey. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Shreya. May I now request the Director of NIPGR, Dr. Sailesh Kumar, and the workshop convener to kindly come on stage for a group felicitation and a token of appreciation. Please come on stage, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Sailesh Kumar, scientist at NIPGR, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of NIPGR and organizing committee of this workshop, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to all of you for gracing us with your presence today at this event. First and foremost, our sincere gratitude goes to our distinguished panelists and speakers for sharing their experiences and with us. I would also like to express our gratitude to our director, Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, for help in planning and organizing this event. On the same note, I would also like to thank NIPGR administration and staff from all the concerned departments who have been working behind the scene to make this event a success. Finally, I would like to thank each one of you workshop participants, audience, and our enthusiastic volunteers for making this event a enriching experience. Now, so thank you all of you. Now I would like to request for lunch. Okay, all right. So before that, yeah, a group photograph at the reception. Yeah.
नहीं, इसमें कार्ड का स्लॉट नहीं है। अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
अरे पहले एक बार देख ला अभी देख लेता, अभी बंद मत कर। वो चार्जर बंद तो 2 मिनट में बंद हो जाएगा। चार्जर भी लेके चलो। अब तो लाइव करना नहीं है सर, ऑनलाइन तो है क्या? ऑनलाइन तो है। हेलो आ गया हेलो हेलो सामने से कोई बोलेगा उसके बाद जैसे बोलना फिर हेलो हेलो आवाज कम कर दो अब कैमरा ऑन करना ये ऑटोमेटिक चेंज हो जाएगा ऑटोमेटिक चेंज होगा मैं बोल रहा हूँ जैसे हेलो सर उधर से बोलना कैमरा मूव हो रहा है हेलो हेलो हैशटैग पे ही है सर हेलो सर आप बोलना कुछ उधर से आता है क्या हेलो 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 मेरा आवाज आ रहा है एक मिनट आगे आगे नहीं सर बोलिए कुछ बोलिए हेलो 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 तू बोल कुछ हेलो करेगा यहाँ पे हेलो हेलो अब है ना हेलो जैसे ये तो हो गया हेलो हेलो शेयर कर देता हूँ मैं हेलो 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 ये फोटो किसकी आ रही है क्या वो वाला स्क्रीन शेयर हो रखा है क्या हेलो हेलो मैं यहाँ से कुछ शेयर करता हूँ तो ऑटोमेटिक हो जाएगा ना नहीं ऑडियो वाला हटा देना मेक प्रेजेंटर कर दो हो जाएगा एनपीजीआर में जाओ या उसके इचेट में जाओ मैं मेक प्रेजेंटर कर दो अब जैसे वो जो लोग आएंगे ना यहाँ पे तो इसको भी स्क्रीन शेयर करना पड़ेगा मैं स्क्रीन शेयर करके छोड़ देते हैं लैपटॉप में उधर ले जाएंगे ना ये तो जरूरत नहीं है लैपटॉप हाँ है ना इसकी स्क्रीन करके छोड़ना पड़ेगा हाँ इसको स्क्रीन शेयर कर दे फुल स्क्रीन शेयर कर दे फुल स्क्रीन कर दिया ना अरे शेयर स्क्रीन करना है ऐसा होगा तो पीले वाले को इधर ला दे पाता है क्या हाँ यहाँ पर अंदर में कर दे बीच में कर दे बीच में कर दे ठीक है इसको बंद कर देना तो मैंने स्क्रीन पे कर दे सब बंद कर बंद कर दो क्रॉस कर दे अपने वेब वो लॉग आउट कर दे ईमेल कर दिया ना कर दिया अब कुछ भी नहीं करने का कहने का मतलब ऑटोमेटिक सब कुछ मैम का भी हटा उसको भी पेन ड्राइव लगाना है तो कहाँ लगाएगा हाँ पेन ड्राइव अगर लगाना है तो ये है ना सामने ही तो है ये सामने उसमें नहीं चलेगा इसमें लगाना है पेन ड्राइव भी हो जाएगा ये खराब है क्या से पीसी लगा ठीक है हो गया अपना काम अब आ जाएंगे फिर एक बार तो ये निकाल देते हैं तो तरफ जाओ तो पोडियम को भी एनआईपीजीआर पोडियम को फिर अभी हटा देते हैं फिर वहां से हाँ। और सर ये हमारा अंदर वाला सिस्टम है ना पोस्ट बनाओ कहाँ ज्वाइन का एनआईपीजीआर आपको कितने टाइम बना दो लगे एनआईपीजीआर कौन सा है ये जो सिस्टम हमारे पास है चलते हैं उधर कर देंगे वो कर देते हैं ना क्या ऑन करना पड़ता है क्या इसको? अभी आपके पास कौन आएगा? इसको नहीं छेड़ना, इसको नहीं छेड़ना कुछ भी। अरे इसमें किसी ने लगाएंगे तो वहां से लगाएंगे नहीं, इसको भी करना है अपने पेन ड्राइव लगाओ को बंद कर दे कोई यूज नहीं करेगा। हाँ ऐसे हो जाएगा। कोई रहेगा ना? नहीं आपके बात तो जाए ना, उसको बोलना नहीं यहाँ पे रहे ना। एक बार देख लेते हैं क्या सिस्टम नहीं होगा तो बोल देंगे इसमें तो होगा नहीं। अरे सामने बोल